Hey, it's nice to meet you guys today. Welcome to our Movers Workshop. On behalf of the Movers program, it's our privilege to have you with us today. So we'll start off with a brief introduction of ourselves, facilitators. My name is K7 Velu. You can call me K. I am from Malaysia and I was in Japan for the past 5 years, completing my bachelor's in engineering and graduated this year. So basically, what I was studying was how to implement technology into the field of agriculture. So I've started my journey as a social entrepreneur, but now as someone who mentors and supports young people, youth particularly, to become entrepreneurs with the Movers program. So I'll pass it on to Maria.
Hi everyone, kamusta? My name is Maria and I am from the Philippines, but I currently live here in Cambodia. Like Kay, I'm also one of the movers from Movers program, and we are here to share with you a workshop on how you can actually use social entrepreneurship in achieving the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. And today we are very happy to be here and to share this wonderful experience to all of you. And I hope that you have a great time. And just a brief background about me. I'm also part of the same youth organization. So it's a non-profit organization in Southeast Asia for empowering youths like you, like me, to be independent and to be a significant part of our society. So for today, we would like all of you to have a great time and let's collaborate and work on achieving the end.
Great. So we'll move on to the next slide. So basically, this is the agenda for the whole workshop. It's more or less like 2 hours. So we start off with an inclusion and introduction section where we learn about Movers program and we learn about more on you guys. And then we'll jump into my SDGs action plan. We'll be covering up the fundamentals of SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. Why is it important and how it impacts your life? Then we have a short break and continue to the orientation to entrepreneurship, focusing on social entrepreneurship. And then we reach our conclusion and next steps with a Q&A session. Maria, would you be kind enough to explain about Mural?
So hi again, my name is Maria, and I would like to introduce to you one of the coolest tools that you could use in collaboration, especially when you're doing a lot of work remotely or when you're studying remotely. You can also use this with your friends, your classmates, your workmates, your workmates, basically anybody who has a laptop and an internet connection. So what I'm showing you right now is Mural. It's an interactive whiteboard or a digital whiteboard that anybody who has a link can actually use and collaborate on the same screen. So for today, since we don't have a breakout, we will be using this to input our ideas, our thoughts, and we can share it to everyone who's using the same link or same Mural link for today. I'm going to share with you how to use it right now. So you can see a palm here. If you turn off the move mode, it lets you type on the screen that you have right now. For example, the first part which we're going to have is round of introductions. You will have here a set of questions that you need to answer. So how will you answer that? All you have to do is click on a sticky note or a text on the right side, or you just have to double click here on the left and you are going to see a sticky note appear, and you can modify it on the color that you like, on the text format that you want, and you can freely type anything you like here. So if you want to answer these questions, just double click on the screen, not right click but left click, double left click, and then a sticky note will appear. Type your answers here and everybody would see it at the same time. It works simultaneously, so whoever types in there, the other person will see it and vice versa. So that is how we're going to do it, and you can drag it on the different parts of the screen, but since we want to keep it organized, we will lock it until we have another set of questions to answer. So when you're done answering these questions, we're gonna skip it and then we're gonna go back to the presentation, and then we come back here for questions that you need to answer. If you want to resize your screen, you just go back to move mode, and then you just hover around and you can move to different parts of the screen. You can just click that again and then resize your screen to something smaller or to something bigger. You can make it to this size, or you can enlarge it if you need to see better, and then just hover it back again. You can drag things and then redo it again if you need to. And you may also share it. So this is how you share the link. Anybody who has the link can work on the same mural screen. And this, so you also have other things that you could use here. You can add shapes and connectors if you need to add that. You can add images if you think that it will help the other participants understand what you're trying to say better. You also have a place or a part where you can attach files and other things here on the site. But I highly suggest that when you put in your sticky note, you have to put your name on every part of the question. For example, on this part, you have round of introductions. I have put in an example here. This is my previous example. I'm just going to drag it to make it larger. You see my name here, and this is an example of the answers that you could put in. And if there's any help that you need, you can just freely type in on StreamYard and it will help you out before we proceed to the next presentation. I hope you'll be able to use Mural well, and let's enjoy today's presentation. See you later.
Great. Now we can proceed to the introduction sessions with you guys. So we'll move on to this mural this time for you to try for your first time. We'll just get to know each other better. Just write on the note of the following questions. What's your name? How do you feel right now? Why did you join this workshop? And what is the best thing that happened to you guys in the past few days? Please use the mural to share your answer. So great job, you guys. Just to brief you on what the Movers program is, I've been a part of the Movers program as a fellow. We call it Movers for about 7 to 8 months. It says what we do is, as a part of the Movers program, is to mobilize youth across Asia Pacific to raise awareness about the SDGs and develop entrepreneurial mindset. What we're aiming to create, it's like a ripple effect where we guide the youth to attend our workshop, and the youth themselves would become movers by organizing and facilitating the Movers workshop in their own community. Through this program, you have the chance to connect with great people from around the world, sharpen your skills as an entrepreneur, get insights in additional skills or anything new for you, such as creative thinking, problem solving, and storytelling, techniques how to host your workshop virtually online, and probably other benefits too. Through this Movers program, a lot of doors has been opened up to me, and I find it really valuable, and I hope you guys would join. So if you want to be like me and join the Movers family, details will be provided at the end of today's workshop. Cut. So this is just a little reminder of the house rules. We're going to keep this whole session a non-judging zone. Be open-minded, listen with attention, share with intention, ask questions or share whatever you want through the chat box or during discussion sessions, or you could use murals too. Keep yourself muted if you're not speaking. As I said, you can leave the questions in the chat box, and we'll try our best to answer them in the Q&A session. Have fun and make new friends. Trust us facilitators and the process also. And yeah, enjoy yourself. Now, So we'll jump into the SDGs, the introduction to the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, you've heard of them. You've probably seen some guys in suits wearing a pin on their suits, a pin of SDGs on their suits. I hope probably most of you are familiar with SDGs, maybe. So we're going to proceed to the mural session and share what you know about SDGs, and we'll compare them. So basically what you need to do is head over down to mural and tell us, what do you know about SDGs? Literally anything. You can just give us many questions, give us many answers if you want. So to understand the Sustainable Development Goals, first we need to understand what sustainable development is. One definition we like to use is sustainable development is the development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet our needs, to meet their own needs. The keyword here is being without compromising. In other words, sustainable development is about preserving our planet and our people while ensuring prosperity for the years to come. So sustainable development is usually viewed through a perspective of three core elements or pillars, we like to call them: people, planet, prosperity, which is also known as social progress, environmental progress, and economic development. But the most important thing to remember is that these are not just individual characteristics. They are all interconnected and have characteristics in common. An example I can give you is the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, where it is not only caused by poor hygiene practices, but it could also be influenced by poverty and indirectly by climate change, as climate change alters how we relate to each species on Earth. So prior to SDGs, there were MDGs, Millennium Development Goals, adopted by the UN, United Nations, in the year 2000. So first and foremost, Millennium Development Goals were an agenda that focused on what we still call, in some contexts, the developing countries. In the year 2000, leaders from 189 countries come together at the UN to shape a broad vision to fight poverty in its many dimensions, thus coming up with MDGs, Millennium Development Goals. The MDGs consisted of 8 goals to reach by the year 2015, such as achieve universal primary education and reduce child mortality, as you can see on your screen right now. So in this slide, the big question is, were the MDGs a success? I would probably say yes, in a way, but yeah. The number of people that lived on $1.25 per day has dropped by more than half. Child mortality is also down by almost half. The number of primary school age children who initially don't go to school has decreased by almost half. The world is more connected by technology, where the global internet penetration has increased from 6% to 43% by 2015. So, as much progress was made, there's still a lot more to do. Over 800 million people are still living on less than $1.25 per day. 1 in 9 people in our planet goes to sleep hungry each night. About 1 in 6 adults are illiterate, and two-thirds of them are women. Ongoing deforestation, increased acidity in ocean, and probably the list goes on and on. Yes, there's still a lot of things to do. So In September 2015, leaders from 193 countries come together once again to agree on a new set of goals to finish the goals that we started in 2000. The goals are called, as you have guessed, probably expect Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) to be achieved by the year 2030, 10 years from now. So on your screen right now are the said 17 goals, plus one if you're from yep, plus one if you're from Cambodia. The SDG frameworks include goals that focus on zero hunger, gender equality, responsible consumption and production, action against climate change, and partnership. So let's compare SDGs with MDGs for a moment. The MDGs were centered on a specific set of 8 individual goals, 21 targets, and 60 indicators. On the other hand, the SDGs are broader with 17 interconnected goals, 169 targets, and 230 indicators. This gives us the chance to understand our impact at a deeper level as an organization, as a community, or as a country itself. So unlike MDGs, where it's really about looking into one direction and trying to help the developing countries, the SDGs are a universal agenda. They are both domestic and international in nature. Like one of the principles that we're going to discuss about it later. These goals require us to think internally on our organization, our communities, and our country, as well as helping us think through our meaningful engagement with our surrounding, which includes our community and our society, and also throughout the world. So we're going to go to the mural session again. And for our session for this time, we're going to talk about the social or environmental issues you care about and which SDGs they relate to. So I've seen that you've completed the mural. So personally, I find myself swinging to SDGs 1 and probably SDGs 10, focusing on incorporating technologies with agriculture to mitigate the poverty among farmers and also reduce inequalities. My past research has been focused on agricultural sector, and I find it funny that though agricultural field is one of the biggest contributors to in the economic in some countries like Malaysia, my country, the farmers are still among the poorest people. So you guys know more or less about SDGs right now. So we'll jump into principles. So the SDGs are guided by 5 principles, namely universality, leaving no one behind, inclusiveness, multi-stakeholder partnerships, and integratedness. Universality. The agenda is applicable in all countries, in all contexts, and at all times, leaving no one behind. The agenda seeks to benefit all people, literally meaning leaving no one behind. Inclusiveness. The agenda calls for participation of all segments of society. Multi-stakeholder partnerships. All stakeholders are needed to reach the goals. And finally, integratedness. The goals are all interconnected. We cannot aim to achieve just one goal. We must achieve them all. All right. So on top of the 3 core elements we've discussed earlier, people, planet, prosperity, two more critical dimensions that will drive Agenda 2030 were adopted, namely partnerships and peace. Partnerships strengthen the capacities of all stakeholders together, while peace, justice, and institutions are important for improvements in the 3 core elements. Genuine, it's not in the figure, but directly in the middle, The genuine sustainability sits in the middle itself, and it will be essential to consider each of these each of these SDGs through a lens of these 5 dimensions. So here is another way to view the elements and the distributions for each SDGs for each piece, namely namely people, planet, prosperity, partnership, and peace. So we're gonna go back to the mural session. And what you guys need to do is to discuss the following questions. The first being, what are some actions that you have done in your life to address the SDGs? And what are some actions that you would like to do in the future to address the SDGs?
Hi everyone. So now we're going to know why are the SDGs important, and we're going to find the right words and common language so we would kind of understand each other in terms of achieving our goals, especially about the Sustainable Development Goals. So I hope the moment of reflection that you had during the mural session help you understand more about how the SDGs can be present in your daily life and how you can use the SDGs in achieving your individual advocacies or individual causes that would help not just your selves, but also the society where you live in, especially the issues that you care about and what you want to achieve in the future. Most importantly, the goals are common language between people, organizations, and countries. So when you become a mover or when you go out there and try to execute your projects or your causes, people around you would understand and you would be able to communicate in the same way as you do right now. So let's move on to the next slide. So in any kind of goal, it is very important that you have targets. The 17 SDGs are bigger goals, and under that, we have sub-goals. Sub-goals in the SDGs are called targets. For example, in SDG 1, we have SDG 1 is no poverty, and under that, one of the sub-goals would be eradicate extreme poverty. So before, extreme poverty is categorized as anybody earning below between $1, 0.25 a day. But in 2018, it has been raised to $1.90. So if you're a family or a person earning below $1.90, you are considered to be living under extreme poverty. And one of the sub-goals under no poverty, like what I mentioned, is eradicate extreme poverty. So however, the global goals that we have, they are very broad, so we need to narrow them down. That's why we have the targets to help you be more specific on what goals you need to achieve. So we make them more specific and we make them more feasible. Next, let's move on to another set of examples for the targets. Okay. So the next target that we have, all right. So by the way, for the targets, we have a total of 169 targets for all the 17 goals. And we have 231 indicators. Indicators are your guide to measure the feasibility or the results that you have in achieving the different targets that we have mentioned. So we have 169 targets, and these 169 targets are the mini targets that you need to achieve to make sure that the 17 Sustainable Development Goals are actually met. And under them, you have your indicators, and your indicators are the guides that help you measure or that helps you check if you are able to actually achieve these targets under the Sustainable Development Goals. For example, another example under this SDG 1 or no poverty, let's check on the target. Can we move to the next slide, please? Okay. So another example of the targets here under sustainable development goal number 6, which is clean water and sanitation. You have safe and affordable drinking water as a target. And later on, we will see what indicators are under these different targets. Let's move to the next one, please. So under SDG 13, which is climate action, you also have build knowledge and capacity to meet climate change as one of the targets, and that's target number 3. So remember, we have 169 targets, meaning you don't only have 17 things to achieve, but if you want to make it more feasible and achievable, then you can go and check all the targets and you can try to achieve one of them. Let's move to the next one. Okay, so now we have the indicators. So under climate action, you have indicator 13.3.1. So here it says that number of countries that have integrated mitigation, adaptation, impact reduction, and early warning into primary, secondary, and tertiary curricula. So when you have these indicators, this tells you if you are able to, this would help you assess the feasibility, suitability, and relevance of your targets. So here, this would help you, it's like a blueprint, a map, a criteria for you to know or to measure the progress of your actions or your projects under these different SDGs. Let's move to the next one, please. Okay, so now that we know the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, we already know a bit of its history, we already know how to achieve them, we already know the targets, and we also know the indicators that would help you achieve these targets. It's now time for you to create your personal SDGs action plan. And this one, you can use the mural for this part, but since this is personal, I highly recommend you to use a notebook or a journal for you to write the 3 sustainable development goals that you care most about. And this would be based on the issues that you have within your community. One of the recommendations of Professor Jeffrey Sachs is that you don't go out in the world and try to solve global problems. What you actually do is to look within your community, look at the issues around you, what can be solved, how can it be solved, what resources do you need, what collaborations do you need to build in order to solve these different issues. And that's how you will start. You start small, you expand it, and that's how you're going to make it big. And that's how you're going to sustain it. It doesn't matter if your project is big, but if it's not sustainable and feasible, then that would be hard to execute. So for your SDGs action plan, think small, act big. So think of the 3 sustainable development goals that you care about and 3 actions that you will take in the future. And the SDGs that you would choose would highly or would most probably be connected to the issues that you care about within your society. So this part, you can take some time to reflect on it. And if you need more help on that, we can send you resources on the link to help you check on the different 17 SDGs, to check on the SDG tracker and other resources that would help you come up with your action plan. So before we end this workshop, do you have any question? If you have any question, we can use the mural. I'm going to share it to you right now. Here, 1 second. Okay, so here on this part, you would see that if you have any question, you can put it here, takeaways, let us know, any feedback from your end, anything that you think we can help you out in coming up with your SDG action plan. So basically, that's it for our workshop on Sustainable Development Goals. We hope that you were able to learn a lot of major points about SDG, and there are a lot of resources online. And most important thing, if you want to know more about it and how you can be part of this big movement, we encourage you to be a part of the Movers program, and all details you will find at the end of the workshop. For those who missed the first part, you can refer to our mural. The link to our mural can be found on the comment section. So if you're going to click on that, you would see the questions that we discussed during the first part of our workshop. And you can also see some of the answers from our participants, and you may also continue putting in your comment suggestions or inputs regarding the different issues that we have discussed or questions that we have discussed on the first part, which is about sustainable development goals. Now we're moving on to the second part of the workshop, which is orientation to entrepreneurship, focusing on social entrepreneurship. One of the questions is that why are we associating SDGs to social entrepreneurship? What's the link between the two? As mentioned by Kate earlier during the discussion on MDGs, the experts said that the MDGs were more focused on developing countries. That's why the result on reducing extreme poverty level was almost half, because it was more focused for third world countries or developing countries compared to SDGs, which is more inclusive. It doesn't matter if you're a developing country or not, but you are part of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or 18, which is for Cambodia. So now, how is SDG related to social entrepreneurship, or let's say entrepreneurship? 9 out of 10 jobs or jobs all around the world, especially in developing countries, are from the private sector. Private sector, as we know, are those people who are in business, entrepreneurship, and they play a significant role in the economy and achieving the sustainable development goals. How? The sustainable development goals, according to the when this was discussed initially, they really need a huge financing to achieve them. Institutions that are providing finances to developing countries and other organizations doesn't have that sufficient money to do it on their own. So they need every partnership that they can get. And since business people or private sector plays a crucial role in the economy or lifting our economy, they need to be part of it. So they have private sectors who can help them finance different projects in achieving the sustainable development goals, thus helping the economy of the local community or the country where these private sectors are located. So as I've mentioned in the beginning, everyone is trying to look at the issues within their country, not in their neighboring country, but within their country, and trying to solve it locally or within their country. And now let's move on to entrepreneurship. So just to sum that part up, we have SDGs and social entrepreneurship or entrepreneurship together because we need to strengthen the partnership because the partnership is relevant in achieving the SDGs. First of all, for the financing part. Second, for providing employment to people in every country or in every community or every nation that we have. Let's move on to the first slide. So we have entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurs are the people who are doing entrepreneurship, and social entrepreneurs are people who are doing social entrepreneurship. There's a slight difference between the two. Entrepreneurs are mainly focused on profit. Social entrepreneurs are also focused on profit, but they are doing something good for the community on the side. So entrepreneurs are risk takers with imagination who seek to create or identify new business opportunities, and social entrepreneurs are those who do that while solving a social or environmental issue. So before we go to our mural, can you think of examples of entrepreneurs or social entrepreneurs and what makes them an entrepreneur? So if you would like to share that on our mural, we can put it here. All right, so let me just check on our mural screen. Okay, so I'm going to share with you the mural screen that we have right now. And another question that you have to think of is, why would you want to be an entrepreneur? Do you want to be one? And why do you want to be one? So just to keep the inspiration there, we all know that in the society or in the community we have, social entrepreneurs have actually helped improve global health while also facilitating economic, social, and environmental well-being. There are a lot of social entrepreneurs. In India, we have a social entrepreneur who helps with creating an ambulance system to make sure that every patient gets to the hospital on time. And we have also another social entrepreneur in the Philippines, one of the social entrepreneurs I really look up to, Mr. Ilyak Diaz, who is the founder of Litter of Light. And those are just examples of the social entrepreneurs that I could actually share with you. Okay, so guys, I'll be sharing with you my screen right now. So it will lead you to Miro. And here you can put in all your answers on the questions that I have just asked you a while back. So what is social entrepreneurship to you? Do you want to be a social entrepreneur and why? So we're giving you 5 minutes to put in your answers. And this is a free flow of ideas. Nobody's going to judge you. You can put in any answer that you want and you can think of anything that you like. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. Continue putting in your answers, and if you wanna, those who just came in and they want to access Miro, you will see it flashing on the main screen. There's a link there. You can just click on that, and you just need to log in with your email account or Gmail, and then you will be automatically led here on this screen. As I've mentioned at the beginning, this is the relationship between SDGs and social entrepreneurship. So the SDGs are trying to solve different challenges, global challenges that the world are experiencing. And they are connected to social entrepreneurship because social entrepreneurship are micro problem solvers that present solutions that may directly or indirectly address the different sustainable development goals. But all around the world right now, a lot of social entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs are actually gearing towards achieving the SDGs and including it in the goals or objectives of their company or of their organization. Different products are eco-friendly. We also have more of them are like trying to make their actions or their plans more sustainable, or they're all gearing towards sustainability. One of the hottest words right now that you would hear is sustainability, and they're almost everywhere. And social entrepreneurship can be characterized by adoption and practice of several principles. Social entrepreneurs are like in between private people and the government. Social entrepreneurs are people who could apply or follow the rules and regulations of the country or the laws. At the same time, they are trying to see what the society actually needs. So whatever they're filling in the gap, whatever the government is not able to do, but they think that the society needs, they are the ones that puts them together and they're the ones that goes in between. And since social entrepreneurs kind of more free or more independent in their approach when it comes to entrepreneurship, they are able to see different ways, they're able to think out of the box, and they could come up with different ways which are more unique and more unconventional than the ones that bigger organizations are actually doing. Let's move on, please. And by the way, to add up on that part, the social entrepreneurs are trying to create more sustainable solutions to address not just the SDGs, but to actually address issues even after 2030. But right now, their main focus is to achieve the SDGs and align their solutions towards achieving them. So let's do a quick comparison between NGOs, charities, social enterprise, and business. As you could see on this line, social enterprise is in the middle. They're the middle part. This is where both three different worlds meet. They are the middle ground. So let's start with the intention of different organizations. For example, NGOs, they're not for profit. They're not established to gain money or to get some income, but instead they are there to solve large human problems. These bigger NGOs are like developmental organizations such as maybe ADB, JICA, United Nations. These are like examples. Gates Foundation. Those are your NGO and charities, and they're trying to solve things on a global scale. Next, the funding source is from beneficiaries or from different institutions, and they are they don't need to be self-sustaining because they have their funds, and they recruit top talent. For top talent, they do it globally. So they have to look for different sources of different talents. They do it internally. And what's their impact? They can make recipients dependent. Next, for social enterprise, do they do it for profit? Yes, because they need to be self-sustainable, or they need to sustain their own needs or their own organization's needs. Next, what are their aims? To solve human problems and generate market returns. So they do it on a micro scale at the same time. They try to sustain themselves. So that's like hitting two birds at the same time. Next, funding source, they do it in a business form. So they try to uh, operate on a business structure, but give back or create impact in a charity way. Next, are they self-sustaining? Yes, they are self-sustaining because they don't have beneficiaries or donors. Their incomes or their fundings are like self-produced. They have to do it from themselves, from their own company. Do they recruit top talent? Yes, they do, because they need to sustain themselves and they need the best people to do it. Next, for the impact, it empowers bottom of the pyramid directly. So they try to solve the solution direct from the source. Next, for business are mainly for profit and they generate market returns, and funding source are from payments or sales. And then are they self-sustaining? Definitely. Do they recruit top talent? Definitely. And what's their impact? Impacts from the bottom of the pyramid, and primarily from through CSR or side initiatives. Let's move on to the next one, please. Okay, so now on the first part, we asked you if you want to be an entrepreneur or do you want to be a social entrepreneur. And before you do that, you also have to, when you think of becoming a social entrepreneur, trying to solve some of the problems within your community or within your society. But before we can actually solve the problems around us, we have to assess, are we capable of doing that? What characteristics or what traits do I have or do I need to become a successful entrepreneur? So first you have optimism, which is to be positive at all times, critical thinking, being able to think outside the box. Endurance, you should be able to be patient and take a lot of things. Don't give up easily. Leadership, you should be able to lead not just others, but also yourself. Creative thinking, also like thinking outside the box. You should be unique. You should not just copy other people's ideas. Try to look somewhere else. Negotiation, you should be able to deal with different kinds of people, different institutions, and different stakeholders. Business knowledge, you cannot do business without knowing business. So you have to do a bit of research, you have to read, you have to collaborate, ask different people, know experts, and connect to them. Planning and organizing, you definitely need to do this. You shouldn't be everywhere. You need to create a plan, you need to organize them and make sure that you would know how to begin and how to execute them from the start to the finish. Next, you should have the ability to deal with the unexpected. So you should see all possible outcomes of every plan or every action that we're going to do. Categorize them, pros and cons. What would I do? What would happen if I do this? What's going to happen if I don't do this? Try to assess all possible scenarios. Be proactive. So you should being proactive means you need to be ready at all times. You should not be being sitting around and just waiting for things. You need to be able to think ahead. of things. You should always be one step ahead of yourself or your competitors or with everything that's happening around you. Self-directed, you should be able to create a plan on your own. You should not be indecisive. You can ask advice from other people, but the decision has to always be from you. You should know what to do and you should know or you can lead yourself to doing that. Communication. There are two ways in communication. You should be able to communicate your thoughts properly and you should also be able to listen. It's a two-way thing. And communication is very important in connection or creating connections or collaboration, in trying to explain what you want to do, in trying to share the advocacies. And this would create or this would build the connection and collaboration that you are going to achieve. And one of the most important things in communication is that you should be able to share your story. What's your rationale? What's the reason behind your advocacies or the things that you're trying to do? So you should be able to tell them. These people should be able to reach out to what you're trying to achieve. They should be able to relate. And that's when you know that communication happens or has been effective. Flexibility. You should not, being flexible means that you know how to dance with the flow. Okay. Not because you need 10 apples doesn't mean that you just have to get 10 apples. Maybe you can have alternative fruits other than that, maybe even better than apples. You should be able to, flexibility, you need to have creative thinking and critical thinking to go along with it, because being flexible means that you can find other solutions and you can find other ways other than the ones that you have originally planned. You should be able to adjust with the situation and the resources around you. And you have to think fast. You have to be proactive. So those are some of the traits that you need to have. Among them, think of the 3 strengths that you could relate yourself with and 3 things that you need to improve to be able to become a successful entrepreneur. And this you have to write on your notebook and you can reflect on your own. And if you need resources on how you can do this, you can just send us a message on the mural and we will help you address some of them. Next. Okay, so now that you know what you need to become, to have the traits of an entrepreneur, those are internal. Now we're going to go on the mental part. Let's think like an entrepreneur. So here I have a situation. Using all the traits that an entrepreneur has, can you apply or can you try to imagine yourself being in this situation, and what are the traits that you need to apply to solve or address this situation? Recently, many neighbors have complained because the bread is often bad and not very tasty, so the community feels that they want something new. Being an entrepreneur, what will you do and how will you address this situation? Now that you have learned the traits of an entrepreneur, what will you do? Write your answers in your journal. If you want to share it in the mural, that's fine as well. But try to think on your own and think of a possible solution for this. So you can write it on your notebook and you will use that again later. Let's move on to the next slide, please. Okay, one of my favorite parts. I hope this will be your favorite too. So brainstorming business ideas. This is your time to put in all those amazing ideas, all the things that, all the solutions that you have for the different problems that you could see, different issues that you care about. So in brainstorming ideas, you have to put all ideas you could think of. I would advise you to come up with a notebook or a way to jot down everything that you have in mind. And you can come up with just with not just only 3. You can come up with a lot of ideas and narrow them down to which one is the most feasible, which one is sustainable, which one is cost effective, which one is easier to do, and which one is most important. So you need to have your order of priority. So here are some examples of business ideas. You have sell handicrafts or garments, start a restaurant or coffee shop, trade different types of goods, grow and sell crops, software or mobile app, and other ideas as well. You can use your notebook to jot this down, and you have 5 minutes to do this. Or you can spend more time after the workshop and share it with some people you're going to meet in this workshop today. All right, let's move to the next slide, please. So now that you know the traits of an entrepreneur and you have also tested how these traits can be applied to your like situations that you might encounter in any kind of business, you also need to assess before starting a business, you need to assess the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that your business is going to have before you actually launch it. So this is an acronym called SWOT. Strengths first. Let's begin with the strengths. What, from the word itself, strengths, what are the positive things or the advantages of setting up your business? So you have to see all angles, from profit, from impact, from sustainability, visibility, all different aspects. Identifying your strengths is identifying the advantages of your business, and that would be your selling point. Next, weaknesses. So if you have your strengths, you also have your weaknesses. These are your non-selling points. These are the cracks on the whole, and these are the, or wall, I should say. These are the cracks in the wall, and these are the things that you need not to eliminate, but to address before you actually begin something. Identifying your weakness is reducing reducing the negative impact as you go along or start your business. This is like reducing the liability or the loss. So you need to know what are the possible weaknesses or what are the possible negative things or issues or problems that your business might encounter or might arise along the way on the different stages of launching your business. And in the weaknesses, it's also important that you check it with other people. Ask for other people's advice. Test it out. Test out your product. Test out your idea. Get feedback from different people. This would help you assess, and this would help you narrow down the ideas that you get and find the commonality, and this would help you identify the different weaknesses. There's a word that we use when we try to think of different ideas. So all the people you know, ask them to find all the flaws. Find the flaws in your business, and that would help you strengthen them and address them before they actually happen. Next, opportunities. So what opportunities may come along if you have this kind of business? So you have in the opportunities, this would also be good if you have started collaboration and connections at an early stage. And for the opportunities, you can also think of how you're going to start it, how you're going to expand it, how you're going to sustain it, what resources do you need to actually create more opportunities for your product or for your business. Next, we have the threats. Threats could be any kind of threat. It could be natural disaster, it could be competition. These are the things that would hinder you from continuing your business or that would eradicate your business, sad to say, or would hinder your success. These are the things that would make you unsuccessful. So you have to look, you have to think outside the box, you have to do critical thinking, but along with the threats, you need to be flexible and you should be able to adapt on any situation and never give up. So think of your idea and all the ideas that you have. Once you've narrowed them down, put all these SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that you could think of, write it in your notebook or in your personal journal, and that would help you plan out or finalize any idea that you have. When you're able to finalize your SWOT or when you have written them all down, it's not going to make your business idea or your business, how do we say this, like fireproof or foolproof, but it would help you prepare in any circumstances that you might encounter along the way. Let's move on, please. Okay, so now that you have thought of your business idea and maybe you have even finalized it based on the SWOT that you have assessed it, you have asked for feedback, you have narrowed down your thoughts and your ideas. This time, it's time to do your marketing. And in marketing, you have your 5 P's. First, you have your product, your place, your price, promotion, and people. Per product, What goods or services are you going to sell to your customers? When you think of an if you want to be an entrepreneur or a social entrepreneur, are you going to sell a good or are you going to provide a service? Think of those two. And next, where and how are you going to sell your products? This includes the place. So you have to assess and you have to put in your SWOT as you create this 5 Ps. You have to connect it with your SWOT. Next, your price. How much will you charge your customers for your goods or services? Of course, you need to do a research on this. What is the competitor's price? What is the current price in in other areas? So this would take some research, but doing a good research will help you come up with the right price, and coming up with the right price will attract the right customers and would help you sell out your product or your service. Next, promotion. Even if you have a good product but nobody knows about it, it would actually be hard to sell. So promotion means how will you attract and inform customers about your goods and services? Right now we have different kinds of promotion. One of the most effective ones is, before the social media came, one of the most effective kind of promotion is word of mouth. Word of mouth stems from credibility, stems from the quality of your product. If your product is able to deliver what it says, if your product is able to satisfy your customers, then the word of mouth will spread without you even doing anything. The people will share their story and their experience with your product. And that's one of the most effective marketing. But right now, with the current social media that we already have a digital market as one of the forms of marketing. So in the social media, people can just put in any information that they want, whether it's true or not. So you have to make use of social media in a good way. It's kind of like a double-sided sword. So if you're able to navigate it properly, and if your product is really good, there's actually no need for you to enforce to people that their product is great. They would tell it themselves. They would share their testimonies, and that's how other people would be buying your products online, or how they would interact with you through different marketings or promotions that you have on social media. Next, for people who can help you make your business a success, such as your staff. So even if you have all fours ironed out, but if you don't have the right people, it would be hard for your business to flourish or prosper. So along with your product, place, price, and promotion, you need to have the right people. And these people, as much as possible, or ideally, you should share the same values or should believe in the product or service that you are selling. Because if they don't, then how can they share their story? It would be hard for them to convince other people that your product is actually working. So find the right people, take care of them, inspire them, influence them, and they will be working for you with full loyalty and honesty and wholeheartedly, and they will be the ones to bring your business to success without you actually doing anything. So, but before that, you also need to be inspired yourself, because nothing will be transferred to your people or to your product without you having it in your inside. So these are the 5 Ps, and if you need more resources on that, we can share some to you if you need them, or there are a lot of resources online that you could use, and I hope this 5 Ps of marketing can help you plan out your business well. So let's move on to the next part. Okay, so what's your idea in your 5 Ps? So using your product, your place, your price, your promotion, and your people. Those are your 5 Ps. Can you match them, and can you think of what suitable 5 Ps, like 5 Ps, do you need to associate your ideas with? So this would take some time. No need to rush. You can use a lot of research on this, or you can just think of it roughly if you have an idea right now and write it on your notebook. So when you write it on your notebook, this would be like your design thinking. This would be like your vision board. Your vision board is like a big board where you put all your ideas and you match them together and connect them and find the loopholes or find the gaps on your ideas. Okay, so when you're done with that, let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so now that you have your ideas, before you actually go out there and launch your awesome idea or your cool product or service, let's understand the career path of an entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur, me personally, the word itself sounds good, but it's not an easy path. But I believe, and based on the testimonies of different entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, it's really rewarding. Especially being an entrepreneur, you earn, at the same time, you're able to help the society or the community. What would be a better a better thing to do than doing those two things? So being an entrepreneur has its advantages and challenges. First, you have the advantage of potential for good income. You have independence. You have your own time. You can also have a large room for creativity and freedom because you are your own boss. But along with that, it has also its challenges. Just because you have independence doesn't mean that you can work anytime you like. Actually, at the beginning, you need to work for long and irregular hours of work. It's going to be a lot of trial and error at the beginning. And even though you are your own boss, you have a lot of responsibility on your shoulder or on your back. But with the right people or right staff, you should be able to distribute and share these tasks, and you'll be able to do them one at a time. At the beginning, income may not be stable or guaranteed, but you should not give up. You need to work out all the SWOTs and check on the product again. Next, or product or service again. Next, you need financial investment. Maybe a lot of it, depending on the business that you have. But it's not impossible. Having the challenges doesn't mean that you won't be able to do your business. Knowing the challenges means knowing the possible weakness and possible threats on your business, and that would help you move along with a stronger and better idea or product or service of in your path of becoming an entrepreneur. Next. And I hope that doesn't discourage you, but instead it encourages you to think about this and see for yourself if you really want to become one. Is it going to be a challenging or exciting challenge for you, or will it discourage you? It's up to you. So here are some of the biggest questions before we move on to you becoming an entrepreneur. Are you ready to be an entrepreneur? And here are some of our checklists. This you can I believe that before this event, you might be, I'm not so sure with the process, but you might be receiving some modules, and you will be receiving this presentation as well. So you can go over it again, and you can find the checklist. Here are some questions that would help you assess whether you are ready to be an entrepreneur yourself. So are you often coming up with new business ideas? If you have a notebook with several ideas, then definitely that's yes. Do you have time to work extra long hours in the next couple of years? Can you concentrate for long periods of time on one subject? Do you believe in organizing your tasks before getting started with something new? Do you enjoy doing maths and calculation? Doing business needs a lot of numbers. Do you find it easy to manage other people? You need to be a people person, but a good kind of person. Do you like to take care of details? Do you continue even when others tell you it can't be done? It means persistence, endurance. Do you enjoy taking risks? You should not give up easily. That's what it means. Do you try to think positive in a bad situation? Being optimistic. Do you learn from past mistakes? One of the most important things, being able to get back on your feet. So ask yourself all these questions. If most of your answers are yes, then I believe you're ready to be an entrepreneur. And the next steps would be starting your own. Okay, getting the resources. So if you have any questions, you can just type it in or add it in our mural. Let's move on to the next slide, please. Oh, okay. So before we move on to the movers part here, I'm going to show you my screen for the mural. Okay, wait. All right. So here on number 6, if you have any questions, suggestion, comments, or feedback, or any kind of idea that you think would be relevant for our workshop today, please just add a sticky note. Once again, you just double click on the screen. Okay, so you should stop. Double click on the screen, and then you will have your own sticky note, and you can share anything, any thought that you want to share with others on this mural board. And at the end of this workshop, we will share to you the mural, or if you still have an access, we will keep it live anyway, anytime. So you can still access the different ideas that you could find here, and you can still communicate and collaborate with the other participants of today's workshop. So before we end our workshop, here is the slide for the Movers program. All of these things that we know right now are from the things that we have learned from being a mover. So from SDGs to social entrepreneurship, it taught us to think this way. And if you want to be not like us, but if you want to create an impact in your community, on your society in different ways, please be a mover. Here are the details. We invite you to become a mover. So all you need to do is attend the Movers Workshop online or offline. Register to be a mover. Here is the link. Organize your own workshop in your community. You just need to organize at least 2 workshops with a minimum of 20 people or 20 participants in total for both workshops, and be part of the regional movers community. So movers are from different parts of Asia and the Pacific and in different parts of the world. And we are a community of collaborators who are very open to communication and very welcoming towards one another. It's an awesome and a different kind of experience. If you haven't experienced this kind of thing, we encourage you to be a part of one, and let's achieve the sustainable development goals and leave no one behind. Let's invite back my partner, Kay. Okay. So I hope you guys enjoyed our 2-part workshop, SDGs and orientations to entrepreneurship. And I hope that you'd be able to make use of it in achieving your cause or starting up your own business as a social entrepreneur or an entrepreneur. And
We'll see you at the Q&A.
here at the Q&A.